Hello and welcome to Unit 1. We are writing a personal narrative. I like to start our class with writing about our own selves. I feel like that gives us a good jumping off point because who knows you better than your own self? So that gives you a little space to explore. So what we're choosing so that we have an angle to take on writing about ourselves is an epiphany. And an epiphany is one of those aha or light bulb moments. It can be really big or really small. So I don't want you to feel like, oh, mine isn't terribly important or mine is really big and overwhelming. I don't know if I should write about these things. I want you to pick something that you feel comfortable writing about. In general, you're going to be sharing it just with me, but there are elements of it you'll be sharing with the class. So I want you to be thinking about like, hey, do I want to share this? In a broader space, am I comfortable with that? So, an epiphany is that moment where you suddenly realize something. And in the examples that we're going to look at with personal narratives, every person is looking back in their lives. They may be looking back a year or two, they may be looking back 20 or 30 years, but it's that perspective that really helps us with an epiphany. So we are trying to look back and say, when did I realize something? So maybe we realize how important a person was to us. We didn't realize what that relationship was like. Maybe we realized how much we had grown because we participated in a sport. We participated in something that pushed our boundaries and pushed us to grow. And we're like, oh, that changed me. I grew from that in unexpected ways that I didn't foresee from the very beginning. So, as you're picking your epiphany, we are looking at, and let's go through these. We're looking at Matt de la Pena's Sometimes the Tough Teen is Quietly Writing Stories. He's talking about the experience of never having picked up a novel, and then he's in college, and someone encourages him to do that, and he's like, oh, do I really? I don't know. He's really unsure about that. But he does read that novel, and things change in his life. It's a domino effect, if you will, of changes that he can now look back and say, oh, I can trace it back to that moment when I picked up that book. And so he's choosing that moment, and then he's showing us what that domino effect led to. The next one is about writing, but I think it works really well as well. Anne Lamott is writing here in Shitty First Drafts. Apologies for her titles. She likes to be outspoken and say what we're all thinking, but not saying. She's a writer, and she's very well known. She's published, she's written articles, books, but she still talks in this particular passage about the fact that she doubts herself. She writes, but she's always sure that she's terrible, that she doesn't have anything worth saying, that her voice isn't valuable. And it is a piece encouraging us to push through that as she does here. She's like, wait a minute, I keep pushing through and I keep succeeding, and then each new time I'm assailed by doubts. And I think that's a really good piece for all of us to learn from, that epiphany of, oh, I did that. I did make it through that difficult situation, or I challenged myself and I made it. But it doesn't change that things can still be hard after that. Next, I have the wrong slide there. Sedaris, David Sedaris with Us and Them. In this case, he's looking way back. He's looking at when he was a child, and he is pondering what his child self thought of a family that moved into the neighborhood versus what his adult self thinks. And it is humorous. Hopefully you'll see the humor in it. But he is having that experience of looking back and going, oh, I was thinking, based on his experiences as a child, obviously. But now, as an adult, I am thinking. And he's seeing new and different things in that experience and how he grew up, of how he changed as time has gone by because he's matured. Finally, last but not least, we have Judith Ortiz Cofer, and she's talking in The Myth of the Latin Woman about stereotypes. She's talking about how people perceive her. She talks a little bit about what that felt like when she was young, the way people were pressuring her to be one thing or another. And then despite her growth and maturity and moving through that and feeling like, okay, I'm over that, I'm doing a lot better, despite achieving tremendous success, she still has some of those experiences. People still stereotype her, and that response to it changes from when she was a child to a young woman to now an adult woman, and it's still hard, it's still a tough experience, but that she has different insights based on different ages in her life and different specific experiences. So a really great piece encouraging us to think through, are we stereotyping? And what do we do when stereotypes are applied to us? So I bring up this because, yes, you're writing about your own epiphany, big or small, but we are also saying, how did other people do this? How did they write about epiphanies? How did they write personal narratives? And we are practicing including a quote. So let's look at our minimum requirements. We want our usual paper elements, an essay. We want an introduction and a thesis. We want body paragraphs. We want a conclusion. We want great details, which we're going to talk about in some of our discussions and submitted assignments. We don't want to just say, I had an experience. We want to describe it. We want people to live that and really feel it. But we also want to practice quotes. And so we're going to use one of these works that we're reading. Also, if you have a work you're really, really passionate about, I'm happy for you to use it as well. But we are going to include at least one quote from a reading so that we can bring in how that person's experience and our experience maybe have some similarities or differences that further enhance what we're writing about. But also because I want you to practice this. So it would be great if we didn't have to, but I really want you to practice that. Also, make sure you're checking out the template I have because it sets up the title page for an MLA paper, but also in the works cited, I've included all 4 of these stories. And so you can delete the ones that you're not using and keep the ones that you are, and then that way you're good to go. You don't have to navigate all of that yourself. So I look forward to learning about your epiphanies, and if you are stuck on who to pick, don't hesitate to holler at me and say, hey, tell me some ideas. I am more than happy to give you some possible quotes and help you see how they could fit into your work.